Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Bees. So we're in a little bit of a hip-hop mood at the moment. We've done Tyler, the Creator, and Wu-Tang Clan as of late. And running with the theme with Wu-Tang Clan in terms of old school hip-hop, I am finally going to get to some more required reading of the genre with Nas, Illmatic. I've never really ever listened to Nas, although he's one of those artists where the reputation precedes him. I know Illmatic specifically is supposedly one of the greatest hip-hop albums ever made, and it certainly says that on the CD that I have. I have quite a few Nas records, so if you really enjoy this, let me know down in the comments if you want me to react to any other Nas record or any other required reading hip-hop artist, just legends of the genre that you want me to get to. And if you like it enough, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to see those videos. And if you ever want to see these streams uncut and unedited long before they come out on YouTube in some cases, go ahead and check out my Patreon, link down in the description, where you can get just that for $1. And if you want to catch us live, make sure you click one of the links down in the description as well. But more importantly, please let me know your thoughts on my thoughts, my analysis, my reaction, my takes down in the comments below. So we're going to get into Nas, Illmatic, from 94, I believe. So we just listened to Enter the Wu-Tang, and that was from 93. So around the same time that this came out. Dumb excited for this. Like I said, it's East Coast hip-hop extraordinaire, right? We'll see what all the hullabaloo is about. This is Nas, Illmatic, 10 tracks. 39 minutes, 49 seconds, at least it says for me. Got the lyrics up here on the screen. Let's get into it. First song, The Genesis.
Yo, Nas, what the fuck is this bullshit on the radio, son?
Chill, that's the shit, God, chill.
Hey, yo, pull out a shave, man. Let's count this money, nigga.
Real, man.
True indeed, you know what I'm saying? But when it's real, you doing this even without a record contract, you know what I'm saying?
No question.
He's doing this since back then.
I'm saying, regardless how I go down, we gon' keep it real. We
No
trying
doubt.
to see
Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Niggas don't listen, man. Representing is Illmatic.
We're going to let this bleed in. NY State of Mind.
Hey, yo, Black, it's time.
Word, it's timing.
It's time, man.
Alright, begin.
Yeah, straight out the fucking dungeons of rap, where fake niggas don't make it back. Been a stairway or either on the corner betting grants with the CeeLo champs, laughing at bass heads, trying to sell some broken amps. G-Packs get off quick forever, niggas talk shit, reminiscing about the last time the task force flipped. Niggas be running through the block shooting, time to start the revolution, catch a body head for Houston once they caught 4-5s and gauges. Max and facts, same niggas that catch you back to back, snatching your cracks in black. Yo, was a snitch on the block, getting niggas knocked, so hold your stats to the coke price drop. I know this crackhead who says she gotta smoke nice rock, and if it's good, you bring your customers and measuring plots. But yo, you gotta slide on up, sewing up the blocks to sell rocks, winning gunfights with mega cops, but just a nigga walking with his finger on the trigger. Make enough figures until my pockets get bigger. I ain't the type of brother made for you to start testing. Give me a Smith & Wesson, I have niggas undressing. Thinking of cash flow, Buddha and shelter. Whenever frustrated, I'ma hijack Delta without a capsule. The smooth criminal on beat breaks. Never put me in your box if your shit eats tape. The city never sleeps, full of villains and creeps. That's where I learned to do my hustle. Had to scuffle with freaks. I'm an addict for sneakers, 20s of Buddha and bitches with beepers. In the
All right, so those were the first two tracks off of Illmatic. We had The Genesis, which was really much more of an introductory track, going into New York State of Mind, NY State of Mind, right? Obviously, I think there's so many albums that we react to where the first song is Start or Begin. Here, this is Genesis, right? So obviously the first book of the Bible, if you're into all that, right? And like we were talking about with like the Wu-Tang Clan, right? There's the sense of a like in an establishing mood, and I think that's what the Genesis and New York State of Mind kind of do. It establishes the scenery, the set, and the setting of things. Obviously, I didn't think you had to look very far to know that this was an East Coast hip hop joint, if you will. And there's a few songs that I think of when I think of the words, New York State of Mind. You got Billy Joel with Empire State of Mind. And then you have Alicia Keys and Jay-Z with New York. Is that just what the song's called? Isn't it just New York? Anyway, I think it's really interesting how, all these iconic New Yorkers have different perspectives on where they live depending on what their life experience is, right? Obviously, there's a lot of, all the trials and tribulations of street life, if you will, going on here. Doesn't want to sleep because sleep is the cousin of death. It's almost like if you get caught lacking, nothing's good's gonna happen. All right, so Blair says, he said, I don't know how to start this shit because he made his bars up on the spot during the recording. If that's the case, I mean, this song was like between, the one break really that we have where, the chorus, if you will, I guess, where we're just repeating New York State of Mind. It is one just stream of consciousness. So while listening to it, I'm like, it's just pushing me along so effortlessly. He's pushing himself along effortlessly. If you're saying that he's improvising this, maybe between takes. Was this all one take? Well, like I was saying with like Wu-Tang, obviously, the genesis, if you will, of hip hop did not begin in the 90s. It didn't even begin in the 1980s. But I think this, being from 94, is closer to the genesis of hip hop than we are to this album now. In 2025, it's 27 years or whatever the hell it is. No, more than that. Shit, 31 years. This album's 31 years old. So I think those more traditional sounds, they are very accessible. And I think the closer you get to the origins of a genre, the more maybe accessible it's going to be to really just the general public. So we're moving on. We're moving on to track 3, Life's a Bitch.
The realism of life and actuality. Fuck who's the baddest. A person's status depends on salary. And my mentality is money orientated. I'm destined to live the dream for all my peeps who never made it. Cause yeah, we were beginners in the hood as 5%ers. But something must have got in us, cause all of us turn to sinners. Life's a bitch and then you die. That's why we get high, cause you never know when you're gonna go. Life's a bitch and then you die. That's why we puff lie, cause you never know when you're gonna go.
Woke up early on my born day. I'm 20 is a blessing. The essence of adolescence leaves my body now freshened. My physical frame is celebrated cause I made it. 1/4 through life, some godly like thing created. Got rhymes 365 days annual plus some. Load up the mic and bust one. Cuss while I puss from my skull cause it's pain in my brain vein. Money main loop back. Time is Illmatic. Keep static like wool fabric. Pack a 4matic to crack your whole cabbage.
Life's a bitch and then you die. That's why we get high, cause you never know when you're gonna go. Life's a bitch and then you die. That's why we puff lie, cause you never know when you're gonna go. Life's a bitch and then you die. That's why we get high, cause you never know when you're gonna go. It's a bitch and then you die.
No way. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've watched enough of these videos, with me in them, right? I'm a sucker for sax, but that song in its entirety,
it's good shit, pal.
I mean, holy cow. Yeah, so going back to a comment that somebody had said after the last couple of songs, after New York State of Mind. New York State of Mind might be considered the song on the album, but, there might be some better hooks and some production coming forward. What a prophecy that was. Holy cow. I mean, I obviously the whole, life's a bitch and then you die right here. I mean, that's just catchy as all get out. It just is. I'm not sure who the feature was on this, but let me know. Unless that was all Nas, I don't think it was. Those were two different people. it's definitely giving like nighttime cruise vibes from the instrumentation, and then the sax comes in, who I'm told is Nas's dad. And I mean, come on,
faux shiz.
This was just terribly good. A little bit more metaphysical here, right? We are lamenting this mortal coil in which we've all been, kind of saddled with. Commentary, a little bit on wealth here, and just like the opportunities there, and an opportunity cost, right? The dollar the buck you spent on a bottle could have gone in, to the lotto. I think that says a little bit more about, the opportunities that kind of just pass us by. Yeah, no, this was exceptionally existential. I switched my motto. Instead of saying fuck tomorrow, that buck that bought a bottle could have struck the lotto. Once I stood on the block, loose cracks produced stacks, cooked up and cut small pieces to get my loot back. Time is Illmatic. Keep static like wool fabric. God, like as I'm reading it, like the rhymes are so good. And he's not just doing, end rhymes either. He's putting multiple rhymes, Illmatic, static, wool fabric, and when I guess when I say end rhymes, as far as, Eminem, I have always heard was a big employer of that, where it's really just the last word of the line will, rhyme with the last word of the next line. But this is quite dense. Switched my motto. Instead of saying fuck tomorrow, bought a bottle. And I think bottle, motto, and lotto are all close rhymes there. I mean, motto and lotto being exact rhymes, but bottle, depending on your inflection, is a close rhyme. We need more close rhymes. I love me some close rhymes. I like when they stretch. Anyway, we move on. Going through this at breakneck speed. The world is yours.
Whose world is this? It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this?
The world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine, it's mine.
I sip the Dom P, watching Gandhi till I'm charged and writing in my book of rhymes. All the words past the margin. The whole wet off my dome, spit the phlegm on the streets. Suede Timbs on my beats makes my cipher complete. Weather cruising in a 6 cab, a Montero Jeep. I can't call it. The beats make me falling asleep. I keep falling, but never falling 6 feet deep. To my man Ill Will, God bless your life. To my peoples throughout Queens, God bless your life. I trick Reeboks on crazy bitches, aiming guns and all my baby pictures. Beef with housing police, release scriptures that's maybe Hitler's lasso. Shit is a hassle. There's no days for broke days. We sellin' smoke pays while all the old folks pray to Jesus, soaking their sins in trays. A holy water, odds against nods and slaughter. Finger the word best describing my life. To name my poker.
It's yours. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine.
Down alone, cave inside 1,000 miles from home. I need a new nigga for this black cloud to follow. Cause while it's over me, it's too dark to see tomorrow. Trying to maintain, I flip, fill the clip to the tip. Picturing my peeps, now the ink can make my heartbeat skip. And I'm amped up, they lock the champ up. Even my brains in arms. The world is yours.
All right. So that was The World Is Yours. And it seems like we're kind of piggybacking on some of the themes that were talked about in Life's a Bitch, right? I'm getting the sense of, there's this, idea from Life's a Bitch coming in where it's like, we only kind of have so much time here. There's wasted opportunities here. There's wasted opportunities here. This seems to be like the other side of that same coin, where it's like, no, that's a good thing. Like we do have this whole world. You just got to be careful in navigating it, right? And there's this sense of responsibility that, Nas seems to feel, in this line where, he's talking about it hurts him that, his people won't eat or can't eat, right? Using that as slang as, they're not taken care of. And, so that's maybe one of his directions there. if you can dodge all the things that are trying to kind of distract you here, you flipping coke, playing spit, spades, and strip poker. That's my interpretation here, right? I'm never going to get everything right the first time, so please do let me know your thoughts on my thoughts down in the comments. Obviously, the hook here is quite strong. Not as strong as Life's a Bitch, though. That was just, that was loved that. Loved that. But obviously, the hook is quite strong here. It's a definite focal point of the song. And I think we might take record scratches for granted here in this day and age. Like, oh, that's really cliche. But no, that's this was 30 years ago, so it's still on top of everybody's mind. And I know that that's still employed a lot, but for hip hop to have record scratches, you just don't need it anymore. And you didn't even really need it here. It's a very much of a stylistic thing. But I really do agree with the one comment here. The record scratch scratches my brain, and it is really nice to listen to. It's just a simple way of like breaking up what's otherwise like kind of monotonous, but not in the like worst way, right? Where we do kind of just have like a looping beat again and again, but check your expectations at the door. This is old school hip hop, right? That's going to happen. You're going to have loops. You're going to have the same and rhythm and bass line kind of helping you through the whole song. Hey, that's what I came here for. That's fine. So I think the record scratches do a good job at just kind of like maybe throwing you off a little bit. Nuz is a very thoughtful and introspective songwriter here. He's definitely alluding to things that are much bigger than himself, but trying to grapple with where he fits into all of it. Already in 4 songs, and I think that's what I'm getting here. That might be a little too grandiose. That might be a little too specific. Maybe I'm painting too broad of a brush with that. But we move on. 5th song out of 10. 5th track out of 10, I should say. This is Halftime. So pretty apt, I should say.
Guys in your area about to cause mass hysteria. Before a blunt, I take out my fronts, then I start the front. Matter of fact, I'll be on a manhunt. You couldn't catch me in the streets without a ton of reefer. That's like Malcolm X catching a jungle fever. King Poetic, too much halftime. It's halftime. Hey yo, it's halftime. It's halftime. I used to hustle. Now all I do is relax and strive. When I was young, I was a fan of the Jackson 5. I drop jewels, wear jewels, hope to never run it. With more kicks than a baby in a mother's stomach. Nasty Nas has to rise cause of wise. This is exercise till the microphone dies. Back in my place with the bass and format. Explore rap and tell me Nas ain't all that. And next time I rhyme, I be foul. Whenever I freestyle, I see trial niggas say I'm wow. And biters can't come near. And yo, go to hell to the fell cop who shot Garcia. I won't plant seeds, don't need an extra mouth I can't feed. That's extra Philly change, more cash for damp weed. This goes out to Manhattan, the Allen of Staten. Brooklyn and Queens is living fat in the boogie.
I don't know how a lyricist, a performer, an artist can be a kid in a candy shop and both a bull in a china shop on the exact same track. Allow me to reach a little bit here. Allow me to reach a little bit here. Here's what I'm getting off of this. So, like I said, Genesis and New York State of Mind kind of establish the set and setting. It's tough out here. It's New York. Street life is what it is, right? Then from Life's a Bitch and The World Is Yours, it's like we only have so much time here. Count your days and the world is yours. Like, okay, we have all these opportunities. What's kind of our place? We do have so many options. Halftime is Nas shaking his fist to God saying, this is what I'm here for. I am here to do this. And he shows you exactly why. This is exercise till the microphone dies. I think that is a very apt way to kind of package this song. You know, and even talking about when he was a kid, he didn't know if his raps were, you know, gonna cut it, you know, because people were, you know, kick my little rap because I thought they wouldn't understand. Now in every jam, I'm the fucking man. I think that came through so well here. You know, and then maybe talking about other, you know, rap scenes here. So Atlanta ain't braver, which, like, such a good line too. You know, I as far as, you know, where you got a lot of great rap scenes, you know, New York, Los Angeles, Memphis, Atlanta, and, you know, the Atlanta Braves. That's the baseball team in Atlanta. Atlanta ain't braver. I'll pull a number like a pager because I'm ace when I face the base. Like, he's so cool. That's just what I'm getting. I'm like, damn, this dude's awesome. Yeah, no, really like this one quite a bit. And if I'm trying to build somewhat of a loose narrative or a loose string of consciousness between each song, it seems so far that each song is kind of built off the last, where maybe we're either left with questions or we're left with a very steady foundation to more for more to be built on. And I think that's what we have here. Now that this song is halftime, so will we be getting into different kinds of themes in the other half? You know, is this going to be the story of two ball games? You know, moving on. This is Memory Lane.
And Big Nas, Grand Wizard. God, what is it like? Know what I'm saying? Yo, I rap for listeners, blunt heads, fly ladies, and prisoners, Hennessy holders and old school niggas. Then I be dissing the unofficials that mo woolly tie. I dropped out of coolie high, gas to buy cocaine cutie pie. Jungle survivor, fuck who's the lava. My man put the battery in my back, a difference from energizer. Start up the dice, roll a match for crap to CeeLo. With side bets, so roll a deuce, nothing below. Peace God, now the shit is explained. I'm taking niggas on a trip straight through memory lane. It's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. It's like that, y'all. Let me take a trip down memory lane. Coming out of petrol, dramatic, automatic, fofo, I let blow and back down popo when I'm vexed. So my pen taps the paper, then my brain's blank. I see dark streets hustling brothers who keep the same rank, pumping for something. Some are prosper, some fail. Judges hanging niggas, uncorrect bails. For direct sales, my intellect prevails. From my hanging cross with nails, I reinforce the frail with lyrics that's real. The most dangerous MC coming out of the most dangerous MC coming out of the most dangerous MC is me number one, and you know where me from.
So I feel like in some way, you know, if I'm kind of just going off of my own theories here, that that a lot of this is reference to everything he's kind of, you know, lived through up until this point. If we're just, you know, going off of the title of Memory Lane here, it's either that with like references that I don't understand, which we've talked about a lot. Hip hop has just a lot of very either obscure or just dense references to things that you either really have to be in that culture to get it. And for me, there's that aspect, and then differentiating that between something that is like maybe truly autobiographical. So, you know, I look at, you know, this dropped out of Cooley High. You know, I can assume that he went to Cooley High, or and that he was gassed up by a cokehead cutie pie, right? It's either like that, and it's autobiographical with references I don't understand, or what I think is just more likely, this is like so dense. This is like the densest song lyrically that we've had, which is like not taking anything out of it because it is like so funky and nice to listen to. Like the little like keyboard organ guy that we got on top of the beat. I mean, like, I'm just trying to, like, pick up, like, to me, this seems very, very autobiographical. Or I'm just bad at analyzing lyrics, which could be a thing. Let me know if this song is autobiographical or I'm bad at reacting to lyrics. I'm also bad at talking, it seems. The park in question is situated in Queensbridge, where he used to frequent. This whole song feels like a stream of bittersweet nostalgia. Yeah, and like I said, it seems like everything that, is kind of like led up to this point. In the world that is his and mine and ours and yours, this is his world. It seems like, he was kind of shouting from the rooftops, like, hey, limited time, world is yours. Here's all these things you can do. You just got to be careful. And this is a peel into his world. Rap is real. Did you guys know that rap is real? Holy shit.
It's good shit, pal.
Also, I like this line up here. I rap for listeners, blunt heads, fly ladies, and prisoners. Hennessy holders, old school dudes. Then I'd be dissing. At least, listening in 2025, everything sounds production-wise and instrumentally, everything's very accessible. But if you want more substance, he's got so much substance in these. Blunt, so like that's just like for the listeners, anybody who's willing to lend an ear. Blunt heads, I'm upset I'm not high right now. He's already kind of demonstrated that he's kind of lived that life or been around it enough to speak on it with any little bit of authority. So just kind of setting the stage here. Nas is for everybody. The world is yours, and so is Nas. Fun fact, Nas and Tracy Morgan are cousins. Pop off. All right, moving on. We got One Love, not by Bob Marley.
Yo, what it say, kid? What up, kid? I know shit is rough doing your bid. When the cops came, you should have slid to my crib. Fuck it, black, no time for looking back, it's done. Plus, congratulations, you know you got a son. I heard he looks like ya. Why don't your lady write ya? Told her she should visit, that's when she got hyper. Flipping, talking about he acts too rough. He didn't listen. What? One love. One love. One love. One love. One love. Since I'm on the streets, I'ma put it to a cease. But I heard you blew a nigga with an ox for the phone piece. Wildin' on the island, but now with Elmira, better chill, cause them niggas will put that ass on fire. Last time you wrote, you said they tried you in the showers. But maintain when you come home, the corner's hours on the reels. All these crap niggas know the deal. When we start the revolution, all they probably do is squeal. But chill, see you on the next VI. I gave you my Duke's loop for kicks, plus sent your flicks. Mine's in another world, thinking how can we exist through the facts. Written in school textbooks, Bibles, etc. Fuck a school lecture, the lies get me vexed up. So I be ghost for my projects. I take my pen and pad for the weekend, hitting nails while I'm sleeping. A 2-day stay, you may say I needed time alone to relax my dome. No phone left and not at home. You see the streets had me stressed, something turned and froze, only to blow the earth smoke through my nose. And told my little man I'm a ghost, I bros. Left some jewels in his skull that he could sell if he chose. Words of wisdom from Nas, try to rise up above. Keep an eye out for Jake, shorty, walk one love. One love, one love, one love, one love, one love, one love, one love.
That was pretty good. So going back to Memory Lane, sitting in the park, talking about how he writes songs for prisoners. He was not lying. I do not know Nas as a man who lies to me, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty explicit as soon as it starts, right? What up, kid? I know shit is rough doing your bid. So obviously this is a prison letter. Is this quite literally the same letter he wrote his friend? Because I would be ecstatic. My friend wrote me a letter in prison and wrote it through rap. That would just send me. That would just send me. Oh, if it was Nas too at this point, I mean shit. So obviously, there's a little bit of, this is what's kind of happening, your girl's tripping out, all this, your mom's crying, all that. But it gets a little bit more existential. Sometimes I sit back with a Buddha sack, written in school, textbooks, Bibles, etc. Fuck a school lecture. The lies get me vexed. So pretty fun rhyming there. But this is like, again, this is something that's speaking about, Nas is speaking about more than just himself. He's speaking about his place within the larger world, within the larger system, and how the schools, maybe the church, all these other institutions have largely failed him and, you know, his friends, his family, you know, and, you know, these systems may be laid in place with the best of intentions, but humanity is so fucking crazy that, you know, it's really just a power grab, and I think you can see through it once you see the total absurdity and meaninglessness of the universe, which he hasn't called that out exactly, but, you know, that is a running theme of existentialism, right? That this is an inherently absurd and cruel universe, and that actually, no, he has, just very subtly, we live in an extremely cruel and unusual universe, right? With no inherent meaning, which, going back to life's a bitch and the world is yours, you have the power to kind of create your own meaning. Again, he doesn't really say that explicitly, but he calls that back here in a more specific way, in writing, you know, to his buddy that's locked up. And One Love, you know, Bob Marley shit. Come on. I gotta head out to eat dinner, unfortunately. Well, you enjoy your meal. You enjoy your meal. I don't know if it's word for word, but I figured it's put into the track to fit the beat. Yeah. Yeah, so it might not be like, you know, the exact prison letter here, but I like how this one, it like I said, it's a little bit more directed. It's a little bit more of a directed case, instead of maybe like, you know, talking about all universal truths or painting a broad brush, so to speak. This is applying some of the themes that we've talked about to a very specific case, which I think adds more credibility to the themes and where he's coming from with everything so far. As if he needed any more. We move on. One time for your mind.
For your mind one time, yeah, whatever. One time for your mind one time, yo, whatever. One time for your mind one time, hey, yo, nine. What up, Paul? Kick that fucking rhyme. Check it out. When I'm chillin', I grab the Buddha, get my Buddha, buy beers and watch a flick, illin' and root for the villain, huh? Plus every morning I go out and love it sorta chilly. Then I send a shorty from my block to the store for Phillies. Fella, go get your crew, Hobbs, I'm prepared to bomb troops. Y'all niggas was born, I shot my way out, my mom dukes. When I was 10, I was a hip hoppin' shorty wop. But kick that for them gangsters, man. Fuck all that, man. Right. What up, niggas? How y'all? It's Nasty, the villain. I'm still writing rhymes, but besides that, I'm chillin'. I'm trying to get this money, God. You know the hard times, kid. Shit, Kobe starving make you wanna do crimes, kid. But I'm a lamp from day to night. I play the mic and you'll thank God. I wreck shit so much the microphone and need a paint job. My brain is incarcerated. Live at any jam, I couldn't count all the parts I rated. A whole of Mac 11, an attack, a reverend. I contact 11 L's and Max in heaven. Yo, one time for. Check it. You got another verse for me? I want you to kick it. You know what I'm saying? Kick that shit for the project. You know what I'm saying?
All right, quite a brief track, in comparison to a lot of the other ones that we've been listening to on this record, but not brief in terms of themes and lyrics here. So we're bringing Buddha back. So that was one of the lines that caught my attention in One Love. You know, I don't know if he, I don't know if he identifies as being a Buddhist, or maybe identifies with maybe some of the philosophies of Buddhism, right? And I think that's like a very Western thing as well, as far as Buddhism being more of a philosophy, more of a way of thinking, more than a lifestyle here in the West, or religion, you know, maybe like a traditional religion with a lot of ritual. Although it does seem to be that, you know, he one time for your mind, this kind of seems to be maybe an ode to those times in the evening, or maybe just any time where, you know, he's looking for inspiration through either being in the present moment, maybe through meditation, which, you know, is pretty much encouraged in Buddhism, mixed with, you know, his mixed with his enjoying the herbal essences, as it were. So that's what it kind of means to me, making sure that he finds time for himself and for his mind. So whether or not that is maybe through meditation or enjoying the present moment, or, through smoke and herb. Now, I'll tell you something, right? Drugs are bad, okay? The first time I ever hit Jazz Cabbage, I was like, no, this shit rocks. This is really good. Mainly because it made me think. Now, sometimes it makes you think way too much. But, other than that, people like it because of the euphoria, just for the change in perception. It made me think. And that's why I loved it right away, because this shit never fucking stops up here. It just never does. 1 minute I'm thinking of what to eat, and then the next minute I'm like, man, should I start a YouTube channel? And look where that got me, right? Yeah, outside of like Life's a Bitch and maybe either Memory Lane or Halftime, the hooks really haven't grabbed me, as far as, just these sections right here, right? One time for your mind, right? One time. Which I think there's maybe a sense of irony there, because it seems to be like a repeated thing. Maybe things are good in moderation. Hard work good, hard work fine, but first take care of head. Moving on, Represent.
Straight up shit is real, and any day could be your last in the jungle. Get murdered on the humble, guns a blast, niggas tumble. The corners is the hot spot full of mad criminals who don't care. Guzzling beers, we all stare at the out of towners. They better break north before we get the 4-pounders and take their face off the streets. Yo, they call me Nas, I'm not your legal type of fella. Moet drinking, marijuana smoking street dweller who's always on the corner, rolling up blessed. When I dress is never nothing less than guess. Kobe walking with a bop and my hat turned back. Love committing sins and my friends sell crack. This nigga raps with a razor, keep it under my tongue. The school drop the blow, Micah chop it. Mayo, you count the profit. My shit is on the streets, this way the Jake should never stop it. Is your brain on drugs? To all fly bitches and thugs, enough respect to the projects. I'm Ghost, one love. Represent, y'all. Represent, yeah. Represent, y'all. Represent, Queens. Represent, y'all. Represent. Represent, y'all. Represent. One time for your motherfucking mind. This goes out to everybody in New York that's living a real fucking life in every project. It's my man. Let's bring it back. That's just the warm-up song, man.
All right, so that was Represent. And I think, if anything, this was just Nas's resume for his street credibility, right? I think this is pretty short and sweet as far as that's concerned, as far as like what the meaning behind this one is. This is, he is about that life, and here is examples 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of how he's lived that life. The only thing, and obviously the beat's great. I mean, it's really giving, like true maybe gangster rap. You can tell me if I'm wrong with that, because rap is not like, that is not my expertise as far as genres are concerned. But I think if you hear this and you say, I want to listen to some gangster rap, you throw this on, it sounds pretty fucking close to what you want, right? Why Sean Penn? Is that like the Sean Penn? No. Okay. So, well, maybe the lyrics have it spelled wrong, because Sean Penn is the Irish spelling of Sean, S-E-A-N. Who the fuck is Sean Penn? See, more references that I don't get. Okay. All right. So Big CeeLo is not CeeLo Green. All right. So, it's kind of upsetting that this is, we're already at the end here. For how much I've thoroughly enjoyed this, I will get into all the reasons why I have enjoyed this record. But let's see how it ends. Last track. Ain't hard to tell.
My mic check is life or death, breathing a sniper's breath. I exhale the yellow smoke of Buddha through righteous steps, deep like the shining, sparkle like a diamond, sneaker Uzi on the Allen, and my army jacket lining hit the earth like a comet invasion. Nas is like the Afrocentric Asian, half man, half amazing. Cause in my physical, I can express through song, delete stress like Motrin, then extend strong. I drink my wet with Medusa gel. It ain't hard to tell. like a violin, end like Leviathan is deep. Well, let me try again. Wisdom be leaking out my grapefruit truth. I dominate break loops, giving mics ministerial cycles. Streets disciple, I rock beats that's mega trifle and groove even smoother than moves by Villanova. You're still a soldier, I'm like Sly Stone and Cobra, packing like a roster in the weed spot. Vocals are squeeze clocks, some CZs drop, though they need not to sneak. My poetry's deep, I never fell. Nas's rap.
All right, so that was Ain't Hard to Tell. It Ain't Hard to Tell. The last song here on Illmatic. And honestly, this was like an exclamation point for me, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I think this song, it was bumping. I think was one of the best produced songs on the record, just with all the layering that was going on. Somebody mentioned it's a Human Nature sample, and there were some things going on in the background that I couldn't quite pick up on. All that to say that there was more stuff going on in the background, made it a little bit more interesting to listen to. But he's just back on this flow with more of an upbeat kind of song, and just kind of rehashing every little thing that we've come to expect from him so far. Mentioning the Buddha again. So now I know that is like such a big part of his life. Not stories like Aesop. All these little references he's making. I kick a skill like Shaquille holds a pill. I freak beats, slam it like Iron Sheik. R.I.P. Sheiky baby. We love the Iron Sheik here on the channel. Yeah, and basically, I think this is the exclamation point. Like, well, if you like what you heard, this is like, I'm reeling it back in, and I'm just gonna make sure that you guys know that it ain't. I'm not going anywhere soon, because I should be locked up in a cell, but it's not gonna happen. And also, cell rhymes with clientele and tell, as well, and hell as well, and L as well. I'm just kind of just still dazed by like all the little, rhymes that are going on. And it's not like, it's like, oh, wow, he's rhyming. That's incredible. It's how he's rhyming, where he chooses to put the rhyme, and like the flow just in general, like he's speaking with like such authority on every single one of these tracks. And this one's no different. And it really is ending on an exclamation point. Like I feel as though this was like a perfect way to end the album. I feel like very optimistic after this. Like I feel so good that like good lyricists and proper, hip hop artists like Nas exist and will continue to exist. Albeit I figure it out 31 years later. But we are now in the conclusion part of the video, and what do I feel about Illmatic by Nas? It was fantastic. This was fantastic. This is something I usually say at the front of all of our hip hop reactions here on the channel. Hip hop is not my native tongue, so to speak, right? Growing up, I was born in 97, right? So the peak of like hip hop into the cultural zeitgeist happened during my lifetime. I just, started listening to, the music my parents listened to. So I was like a lot of classic rock. I branched out into, punk rock and all that. And all that to say that I'm always somewhat worried when I react to hip hop here on the channel, because how much of it am I going to accurately be able to analyze or provide any type of transformative commentary on? But what we've found is that when an artist is good, when shit is good, it is just good. And Nas made it very easy for me. I was a little bit worried, with the first two tracks, the Genesis, New York State of Mind, right? A lot of this has to do when I am listening to a new artist, learning how to listen to a new artist, like picking up on their, what's the word I'm looking for here? Picking up on their tendencies, picking up on the way that they do things. And honestly, from Life's a Bitch on, I was completely set. And I think a lot of that had to do with, I love looking for more than what's in there. And I think I found a lot of what Nas was talking about. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes on this channel when I'm reacting to an album, You know, I can look at a song name when I'm doing the conclusion, right? When I'm doing this part of the video, going, I don't really remember what that one's about. I don't really remember what that one's about. It could just be I didn't like it so much, or I did like it, but, you know, there was just so much to talk about. I'm looking at the track list here, and I'm looking through the journey that we just went on, setting up the stage with the Genesis in New York State of Mind to talk about how little time we have, but the opportunities that are in this life with Life's a Bitch and The World Is Yours. With Halftime, Nas just saying, this is the decision I've made to just be a phenomenal hip-hop artist, and here's all the reasons why. That's what I'm doing here. And it comes halfway through the album, which is just such a good way of using the concept of the album, right? The album as a whole was paced so well. Then into Memory Lane and One Love getting very diaristic, getting very nostalgic on some things, and then a little bit more metaphysical in One Time for Your Mind to bring it all back to maybe the more dangerous side of things, right? The more gangster rap stylings of Represent. And then just an absolute bop to tie it all up together, which is kind of like Halftime Part 2, I think, with It Ain't Hard to Tell. Knew it was only a matter of time. You know, I had always heard of how great Nas was, specifically this album. And as I was burning all of my CDs, I found this one, and I was like, I gotta react to this one soon. And I'm glad the chat was here for it, and I'm glad that you were here to watch this journey with me. If you're a Nas fan, longtime Nas fan, and you're seeing this through new eyes, hopefully you got a kick out of this one. You'd think a middle-aged man wrote this album with all the shit he said. Yeah, no, and it's like the way he writes these things, like he's very much wise beyond his years, which I think, you know, judging from the album cover we have here, right? You know, I'm assuming this is him as a child. You know, I think that's Nas knowing that, you know, maybe he might be wise. He definitely knows he is, which is crazy because, you know, wisdom, you know, at its core is understanding the fact that you know nothing, right? So he is almost always a child. In that sense, you know, you will never know everything, but for the perspectives that he had to make this so personal and accessible too, you know, this was not a hard listen. Very, very succinct. Hopefully you got a kick out of that one. Please do let me know your thoughts on my thoughts, my views, my commentary down in the comments below, as well as any other artist, band, album that you want me to react to here on the channel. If you want to see us live, make sure you click one of the links down in the description. And if you ever want to see this reaction uncut and unedited, as well as every other reaction that I've done here on the channel, almost. I think Taylor Swift's Folklore is the only one that's not up still. But nevertheless, you get tons of content for just $1 a month, pretty much in perpetuity until I change that. But I don't really have plans on changing that tier soon. So that's for you. Also, if you want to be included in any of the credits that are here, there's a Patreon tier for that as well, to show a thanks for your support, and thank you to everybody who's on the scroll at the moment. But with that said, I've been Jerry Bees. You've been awesome. Take it easy.
Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog. Breaking.